All right, let's try this again. I was outdoors because of such a beautiful day here in Maryland, but my signal is weak, so I figured I'd just come indoors and share this brief message with you guys. Hello, hello, everyone out there in Cyberland. This is Alqamar. Just wanted to come to you with a short message, something that's been weighing on my mind, and I don't like to bombard you guys with a whole lot of me. I figure you see me enough on the Empower Hour, the talk show we do once a week. And so, but sometimes there's different things that kind of weigh on me, and I be feeling a strong urge to share what's on my heart. So when I do, I like to take to these type of blogs. So I'm hoping somebody can get something out of the information. I want to talk about our dads today on this Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all you brothers out there. And I was talking to somebody close to me, and they were sharing with me how their son is going through some motions. He's young, he's fresh out of high school, um, and trying to find his way in the world, and having trouble with his mom at home, and mom is getting frustrated, and having to she found herself putting him out the home because she wanted to remove herself from her own frustrations as it relates to him, right? And then it got me to thinking about the transition from where they are now to earlier days, because I've known these people all my life. I mean, I'm sorry, all his life, the 21-year-old's life, and has a wonderful father, um, very good man. They were divorced. His mother and father were divorced early on in his life, when he was still a young boy. But the father remained a strong presence in his life, and it was one time that he lived with his father, and things of that nature. And so the mom moved away when his son was maybe about 10, 11, 12 years old, somewhere around there. She moved about 3, 4 states away. And so that caused a little of a gap between their bond, the father and son. I mean, he still remained in his life. He went to visit. They talked all the time, but they weren't close as they were physically because the mom moved away and took the child with her. And I'm listening to the story of now how the son is cutting up. He's cutting up. He's trying to find his way. And I couldn't help but to think, I wonder how different this life scenario would be had had his father was more present in his life, um, on a day to day, interacting with his son day to day. And then it got me to thinking about sacrifices and the things, some of the things that we do as parents, without realizing. Hey guys, greetings, Redbird Joe. Um, Without attempting to sacrifice certain things for our children. And so I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if, had the situation been different, had the mom decided not to distance herself, you know what I'm saying? Because if she understood how important it is for the children to be close to their parents, vice versa. A mother close to her children, a father close to his children, in proximity, if the situation would be any different. And I think about, because it was a bitter situation when they divorced, and it was a lot of scenarios that took place where the children were were used as like you know how you ladies out there, you know how we tend to do more so than the men. We use the children against the man when we're angry and upset in our emotions. And so, you know, if you don't give me the money I need, uh, or if you don't give, you know what I'm saying, then I'm going to use these children against you, and you're not going to be able to see your children and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think we really, really understand deeply how that plays out in the long run for our children, how detrimental it can be. And so I say all that to say on this Father's Day, how important it is as adults in the situation to be more responsible when it comes to raising our children and be more emotionally disciplined as adults, to be able to make some sacrifices, even if we don't even want to. You know what I'm saying? Even if, you know, for the betterment of our offspring, of our of the next generation. I just think it's important to be a good role model emotionally. I think about my own situation, and just from experience, because my mother and father divorced. They had 8 children together, my mother and father, and I fall right in the middle, number 4, and they divorced when I was maybe about 15. That was probably one of the hardest experiences that I ever had to deal with in my entire life. It was rough. Um, and it was rough for everybody, you know, for my siblings, for them, because it got rough. It got rocky for a minute. You know, it wasn't a pleasant or easy split for them. They they went through the motions, you know, for a couple years. It was a tough strain. My father fought for custody of us and won. He won custody of his children, but that didn't last long because I think he bit off more than he could chew with 8 children. But anyway, long story short, I bring that up, my own situation up, because I can remember how when they after they were able to settle their differences and smooth out the pain, you know, going through the healing process, and it took a few years, how they were able to come back to the center for the sake of us, their children, and how like family reunions and birthdays and things like that after the fact, and how we were all able to still congregate together in one home, and it would be peace, and my mother and father laughing and joking together, my father's new wife there in the mix of it all, her and my mother laughing, having a good time together, and how peaceful that was for the environment, right? And I guess seeing that as an example allowed me to take that into my own adult life and situations, and be that same example for my own children, and how different things would be had I never had that kind of example, you know, of 2 people being able to work things out for the sake of the children. You know, my mother and father remained friends, you know, they he's no longer with us, but they were friends, you know, they were friends even after the whole divorce. And it took a journey for them to get to that place, no doubt. But I think that's important for the children involved to see that and feel that, as opposed to stress, strife, hating each other, you know, never being able to talk without hollering and screaming. The children feel all that energy between them. They have to pick sides, you know what I'm saying, because they love their mother and their father, but, you know, they have more onus to one than the other. So they find themselves picking sides and going with mom a lot of the times, and, you know, and how all that plays out in the child's life. So I'm saying all that to say that I'm hoping that we can be better role models for our children emotionally out here, and make sacrifices even when we don't want to, and not just for us, but for the betterment of our children. What are some solutions for single home parent children or divorced parent children? That's what I'm speaking of. I'm speaking of the examples of how we have to sometimes put our own, be more mature emotionally. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that you don't get angry, you don't get upset, you don't get frustrated, and a lot of times it's rightfully so. Maybe you feel like you've been an injustice, and you have to, as women, we have to take on a lot of the roles and responsibilities when things when the relationship goes sour. You know, most often than not, the child or children go with the mother, and so we in turn have to take on a lot of roles and responsibilities that will fall on the weight of our shoulders, because with a man not being present, we just got to pick up the slack. Is it fair? Of course not. Of course it's not fair. But I think that to take on bitterness about the situation and lash out emotionally and stay in that space is not good for the children involved. It's not good. We harm them in the process of not being able to just remain at peace about situations, even when things aren't going our way. And I'm hoping I'm making sense, and I'm hoping this, somebody is getting something out of this situation. I also wanted to share real quick about another scenario that's been weighing heavy on my mind. How I just had a recent family member that passed, and there was no life insurance left, right? And so he left two beautiful sons and a beautiful wife um, behind. And his sons are like 12 and 13, or somewhere close to that age. And I think about how a simple decision like making a sacrifice and, uh, you know, taking out some life insurance can make the difference between your children and your wife having to struggle and strife when you're gone, and have and or having more of that peace. And it's too much information out here, family. It's too many options out here, and the sacrifice is too small for us to still be out here leaving our families in a worse situation than when we were here. You know, it's too much information. It's really no excuse these days. It's no excuse to think about your family, somebody other than yourself, and knowing that this life ain't gonna last forever for any of us. Every last one of us gonna taste the death. Nobody. I don't know a soul that can escape death. And so when you know that it's a certainty, it's not a possibility, it's a certainty that we're gonna be out of here. And it's just a matter of who's going first. And without us really knowing that, and putting proper things in place to be able to cushion that blow for those loved ones that we leave behind, there's no excuse not to do that. And it's like having our, what I'm saying, you're able to leave something for your children to be able to stand on and grow on and be a little more have a little more cushion, but you don't. And so it's like knocking the stool right from up under them, and they all go tumbling down when you leave. And it don't have to be, and I know a lot, and some of us out there, and I used to be one who but everything about this system, this Americanized system that we find ourselves in. And I'm like, look, I don't want nothing to do with it. Anything that I can do to work outside of this system, I'm going to do. Insurance, that all that white man stuff and da 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 da, all that stuff. Well, there's black-owned insurance companies out here. Again, there's really no excuse. So if that is where you are in your thinking, then consider signing up with a black-owned insurance company to be able to provide some stability for your family when you're gone, because it is no excuse for your family to have to go and ask and beg other people to help bury you. And then what after that? You know what I'm saying? So whatever you were providing in the form of financial support while you were here, that's gone. Even after you bury, okay, we found some money to be able to bury you. People chipped in to do that. Okay, now what? Now all the burdens, the financial burdens that I'm saying, that the monies or the things that you had that were able to support or add to the family, that's no longer there. So you're leaving your family in a messed up situation. And a lot of times that's how wealth is built. Wealth is built, and I'm not saying I don't work for no insurance company. I'm not advocating on behalf of any insurance companies or any of that. I just understand the importance of planning for the future and preparing ourselves. Because that's how a lot of the wealthy become wealthy. A lot of this wealth out here was created by generational policies. You know what I'm saying? So people, have you ever heard of scenarios where you may have known somebody and worked with them or grew up with them, went to school with them or what have you, and their parents passed away or husband or wife or what have you, and they dealt with that blow, but at the back end of that, they had a policy that was cushioned enough for that person to then be able to make other strides in their life with the support that you left behind. So now they have enough money to pay off the house. They ain't got to worry about that no more. Or they got enough money. They always wanted to, run their own bill, stay home. And maybe they got small children, and now they have enough money. They don't have to work because they have to stay home and provide for their children or run their own business or open up their own business or whatever. And the insurance money assisted them in doing those things. So that it cushions the blow of your absence. So think about that. Think about that, family. Yeah, and just, it don't take much. And a lot of times it's a lot cheaper than what you think, especially the younger you are. The younger you are, the cheaper the insurance policy becomes. And it's, it should be like a necessity. It should be just as you should be paying a policy just like you pay your rent and your car note and your cable bill and your cell phone bill. So that should be a no-brainer that, this insurance needs to be paid. And in a lot of instances, the insurance amount you pay every month is a whole lot cheaper than every other bill that you have to pay. But you should definitely be thinking about that, not leaving your family behind in a financial burden. Okay. Again, those were just two things that was weighing heavily on me, and I wanted to share. And I think that, it may help. It may help. So if it does help, I just ask that you share this information with somebody else. And take care of each other out there. And happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. We need you guys. We need you guys. You're so important to the community, to the family unit. That's the structure. Man, woman, and child. That's the structure. So without you in that three-legged structure, there is no family. That's real. So, keep striving, family. You're loved, you're supported, even if nobody else told you today. I love you and I appreciate you, all the dads out there, even the ones that are imperfect, you know, love you too. All right, family, take care of each other. Peace.